Folks, yep.
Okay.
We got Coach Monken here, guys, on Zoom. We can get started.
Good afternoon, everybody. Excited to play, and I know I've talked to most of you guys plenty during preseason camp, but I'm just excited the game week's here, and we got a lot of work to do. Wish we had a little more time, but eventually you got to play. So hopefully we're putting all the pieces together and we'll be ready for Saturday.
Well, good afternoon, Coach. Charles Grievous here with GoBlackKnights.com, and I know you're excited about the season getting ready to get started. I guess my first question is, I'm a firm believer in, I guess, identity and destiny, meaning the worst thing that can happen is to have the cook, out in the field leading the battle and the general inside the kitchen cooking the food. I know that you haven't played an opponent yet, but can you talk a little bit about the identity of this, 2022 Army football team, at least from what you've observed through summer training camp?
We've got good leadership, and I think our guys are mentally tough. They practice hard. They care. All summer long they've hit the weights really hard, and they've come in with great intensity and focus into meetings and those kinds of things. I think it's been a great off season, and I think it's been a good camp. I've been been a little bit concerned about the health of the team, and that seems to happen in preseason camp. We get some injuries and just a lot of knocking into each other, and it can't be a pillow fight. We're not going to get prepared to play our brand of football if we do that, but that comes with some injuries. But we're starting to get healthier, and that's been a positive. And I think our guys are just really focused and really excited to play. That's not going to win the football game for us. Executing the fundamentals and executing our plays and blocking and tackling. That's what's going to win the football game. But from a mental standpoint, I think our guys are focused and ready.
Great. And it's really interesting to see head coaches from various programs around the country, from Brian Kelly at LSU, Greg Schiano at Rutgers, hold off officially announcing their starting quarterback. So my proverbial question here for you, are you going to break the trend today and reveal who the starting person is going to be under center on Saturday for the Black Knights?
It's going to be Tyre or Cade, and Cody's got those guys so well prepared. He does a really good job getting those guys ready. I think Jamel Jones would be ready to start the game on Saturday if he needed to. Cody does a nice job coaching those guys, and I can't say enough for how he keeps all those guys engaged and ready and prepared to be the starter or to go in if they need to. So Tyre's got a little more experience than Cade, but we're going to play both of them, and whether one starts the other one's going to play early.
Great. And on the defensive side, there's some young guys like Camden O'Cara, Crummy, Jackson Powell appears to be coming on along strong at the dog position. Can you talk about some of the young guys on defense and their potential participation on Saturday?
I guess in terms of the guys that are young, Camden O'Gara is already a junior, so he's I got that right? Is he a junior? It's hard to believe how fast they grow up. Anyway, he's had a really impressive camp. I mean, he went through preseason camp when we broke and had scouts. He went to the scout team, so he played the first 3 or 4 days, maybe the first week on the scout team, and he just did so well on the scout team. And then when we had scrimmages, he got in and got a chance to work and be in with the 2s and the 3s in the scrimmages, and he performed really well. And so we moved him up, and now he's got himself into a backup role. So he's number 2 on the depth chart right now. So that's a guy that, as you mentioned, has really come along. Quindraylon Hammonds, who's going to either start or play a whole lot at safety. Max DiDomenico is just a sophomore as a safety. Those 2 guys have really done a great job developing themselves and having themselves ready. But there's guys like Trey Sophia, freshman Kamari Copeland, Eric Ford at dog. There's been some guys that have shown up, and and really been impressive. There's guys on the offensive line like Simon Dellinger, who's going to break into the starting lineup for the first time in his career. So I'm excited for him. Lingenfelter being healthy, but we moved Blaine Cleaver over to tight end and David Crossan from defensive line to tight end. Both of those guys have done a really good job learning the position, and Coach Frankel's gotten those guys ready to go, which there's a lot to learn at that position. So, there are guys that are showing up at every position that are maybe just developmental guys. I don't know young, but young in terms of their experience. So it's gonna be interesting to see how they respond once we get rolling.
We're gonna take one from Rich, who's in the room, guys.
Hey, Coach, just Coastal Carolina and what you see when you look at that team and how that program's been built over the last 5-6 years.
It really remarkable. Just the transformation of that program from an FCS program to a powerhouse in that league, and a team that's considered one of the big boys now with the success that they've had the last couple of years. That run that they had in 2020, they're undefeated. A big win over BYU on national TV. Grayson McCall, the quarterback. What Coach Chadwell's put together there is nothing short of amazing. They're very athletic. They use a lot of guys on offense, and they're fun to watch. It's not going to be fun to try to defend, but they're fun to watch. And then watching them defend teams in their league, very athletic teams like Appalachian State and Louisiana and Georgia Southern. I know the athletes that they got in that league, and they do a terrific job. So great program, a lot of respect for them. And it's going to be a huge test for us and a great challenge to start the season.
Hey, Coach, how much of a challenge is it over for you seeing your team on the field in a game for the first time, but also an opponent who the last tape you have from them is 1 year ago, and there's several different players on both sides of the ball?
Well, we don't know what we're going to get, and we prepare. We do the best we can to have our team ready to go, but we don't know what they're going to do on Saturday for sure. And with all those guys Charles was asking about, the guys I mentioned, they're going to get significant snaps for the very first time. So how they respond in that moment is to be seen. But what we've got to do is prepare them and have them as ready as they can be, and then hope they'll go out there and make plays. And I think our guys care a lot about each other enough that they're going to do everything they can to try not to let each other down. And usually if you're compelled to do better because of the love that you have for the other people in the organization, whether it's your family or on your team, I think you're going to try to perform your best. So I think our guys will give their very best.
Thanks, Coach.
We can go back to Zoom.
Coach, Ken Kreitzer from Cam Vets Media, exciting for the start of the season. Just maybe take us through how you feel your team is on offense health-wise. We saw that Tyson Riley had an injury, and a couple of other players. Would we possibly see Dixon or Stewart play at the fullback spot?
I think there'll be a lot of guys play at the fullback spot, but that's been typical. If you've watched us play, which I know you have, the last few years, we played a lot of guys. We expect Riley to be healthy and ready to go. We've got some other guys that were banged up and didn't scrimmage in the last go around on Saturday, but we're slowly getting back to health, and there's a few guys that are still going to be out, but like I said, we can't practice like it's a pillow fight. We've got to practice hard and practice physical, and with that sometimes comes some injuries. So I hope we get those guys back healthy pretty soon, and obviously we want to have our guys at the top of the depth chart ready to go. Very
good, Coach. Quarterback for Coastal Carolina, Grayson McCall, two-time player of the year in that conference, completes 73% of his passes, 27 touchdowns. Tell us a little bit about him, and also their offense is noted for the RPO, run pass option, and I was curious how that differs from an option offense.
he's a great player, and I mean he's as dangerous on his feet as he is in the air. I mean, 73% of your passes is pretty incredible. So I think it's what they do, and they give him high percentage passes, which we're trying to do that too. But he completes them, and he completes it on the run. He gets himself out of trouble. He runs through tackles. He's a physical player. He's got good speed. I think he's just a great player, two-time player of the league, and he's probably going to be a three-time player of the league if he has another year like he's had. And so he's a terrific player. The run pass option is a big part of college football. There's a lot of people doing it. They are they I think like us are a run football team. They like to run the ball and control the clock. They manage the game very well. They maintain possession of the football, which I think is a key to winning for us. And RPO, run pass option, as I've said before, we've been doing RPOs for 30 years, run pitch option. So it's a little bit different. It's presented a little bit differently, but the philosophy is the same. And typically there's a chance to hand the ball off, a chance for the quarterback to run the ball, or a chance for the quarterback to throw it. And it doesn't always happen in progression like it does for us, but there are options that the ball can be carried or delivered to different people. And I think it's great stuff. I love what they do, and you know, like I said, there's a lot of people running RPOs, but not as effectively as they're running it. They're doing as good as anybody in the country.
Coach, just thought about the Coastal defense. Got a couple of big defensive linemen, Stewart and Clark, that are noted in the notes. What experience do they have in their conference in playing option teams?
Well, like Coastal Carolina, there are other teams in that league that are running RPO games and running option football. May look a little bit differently than what we're doing, but and they've played Georgia Southern, who had a good bit of option in their offensive game plans and in their playbook. Their coordinator has experience playing against teams like the Citadel and Wofford, and so they've got experience defending it. They'll have their kids well prepared, and as I said, they're very athletic. They got some talented players, including those guys you mentioned, but they've got a whole host of guys on defense that are outstanding players, and they're not going to be running around like chickens with their heads cut off, not knowing what to do. They're going to be a well-coached football team.